Today we are beginning chapter 42 of Tanya together. We're continuing on with our discussion of what it means to truly have awe, respect, fear of God. The Alter Rebbe brings a quote from Devarim, from Deuteronomy. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? Only that you fear the Lord your God. So the Gemara asks the question you might be asking right now. Is fear then such a small thing? Really, is that so simple for a human being to have true awe, true respect, true fear of God? And the answer is the Gemara, yes. In the case of Moses, it is a small thing. So which point you might be going, like I am, what? Like, what are you talking about? Okay, it's great that for Moshe, it's easy to have fear of God. But last time I checked, I'm not Moshe. And so how does that help me? How does that make fear of God a small thing? So the Gemara is really hinting at something much deeper. And that is that every single Jew, every single Jewish soul has the gift of Das, has this special soul power endowed within it from the 7 shepherds. So the 7 shepherds of Israel each give a unique soul quality to the Jewish soul. And really what it gives is it gives it vitality and godliness, each of its own spiritual, from its own spiritual level. So for example, Avraham embodies the sphere of chesed, of kindness, of love. And therefore he puts a unique quality within our soul. Versus Yitzhak gives us the unique soul power of holy severity. And Jacob gives us the unique soul power of truth. And so each of the different shepherds, just like a shepherd nourishes their flock, so too the 7 shepherds of Israel, they nourish the Jewish souls. Chassidim relate that the Alter Rebbe pondered for a considerable number of weeks whether to write the 7 shepherds provide godly vitality, or whether he should write vitality and godliness. So as someone who spends a lot of time editing, I cannot even fathom this. This is not just editing like, ooh, how can I make this sound better? This is like editing of truth, of what is the truth behind this. And the Alter Rebbe literally spent weeks pondering this. So it really helps us understand the power of what the Alter Rebbe is giving us, the gift of Tanya, of how much intent and energy went into every single word. So here's the difference between them. Vitality refers to love and fear of God, since it is that they vitalize one's performance of Torah and mitzvahs, like we've already just explored for the last couple of weeks, right? We know that love and awe is what's going to vitalize our Torah and mitzvahs, and that's why he would write vitality. And godliness refers to bittul. It refers to self-nullification. And so ultimately the Alter Rebbe decided to write, as we saw the slide before, vitality and godliness, since the 7 shepherds endow within us both of these soul powers, the ability to have love and awe of God and the ability to have self-nullification before God. Moshe is called the Raya Mehemna, the faithful shepherd. He draws down the quality of dat to our souls. So now we're going to spend some good amount of time understanding what dat really is. So simply, dat is recognition, feeling, and connection. Das is the moment when it goes from just being an intellectual idea versus being integrated into my being. It's a quality of being able to really focus in to the point that I actually feel it. When a Jew receives the capacity for das from Moses' soul, he can perceive godliness in a truly knowing and internalized manner, so that one actually experiences God. So this is the difference of like, yeah, God's up in heaven somewhere, some lofty concept, versus with das, actually being able to see God in our daily life. So to give us an example of das for a moment, there's a story about the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak Schneerson, that he was at the doctor's, and the doctor mentioned to him that, breaking news, latest studies, it turns out cigarettes aren't healthy. And after the doctor's appointment, the doctor offered him a light, since the doctor himself probably smoked. And so if someone knows all the science behind why smoking is bad, and yet they still smoke, that means there's a lack of dot. Okay, it could also just be addiction. But really a lack of dot, of I know something to be true, but I don't know it to be true. The real knowing, the real dot, it literally means knowing in Hebrew, comes when it's actually integrated. So the doctor offered the Frierdiker Rebbe a light, and the Frierdiker Rebbe said, I don't smoke. The doctor was confused, like, I know you smoke. And he said, I don't smoke. Because once he learned that it was bad for him, he had such a level of recognition, feeling, and connection. He had such dot on the matter that it was so integrated into his being that he didn't smoke. Das enables every Jew to know and feel how God stands over him and sees his actions. It's therefore easy for one to summon up within himself a fear of God. When I really know and I focus in, when I really focus in on how God stands over me and God sees all of my actions and God is intimately involved in my life, when I really ponder that and focus on that, what's going to happen is I'm going to have das. That focus is going to lead to this emotional connection, this integration, in which case it's going to be very easy to have fear of God. Moses is rooted in the Dat Elyon, supernal knowledge of the 10th spirit of the highest world of Atzilut, which are united with their emanator, for he and his knowledge are one, and he is that knowledge. So just appreciating how is it that Moses has this ability to empower our souls with this quality of focus to really know God. It's because that's where he's rooted in the 10th spirit. He's rooted in the Das of Atzilus. The Alter Rebbe now says that there's an even higher level of Moses' spark. And this is a spark of Moshe. And this is put into, meaning, so we have the quality, every single Jew has the quality of Moshe within them. But the spark of Moshe is something that's given to the Moshe of the generation. So, meaning in every single generation, there has to be a Moshe Rabbeinu. The Jewish people cannot, where others would be sheep without our shepherd. We need a shepherd. We need the Moshe. And so that spark of Moshe is transferred from every single generation since the original Moshe to Yeshua, so forth throughout every single generation. Actually, the one we started opening Tanya with, we started beginning talking about Rava at the beginning, very beginning when we were just learning Tanya together. Rava was the Moshe of his generation. So this soul spark of Moshe is transferred from generation to generation. And the task of these leaders is to teach God's greatness to Jewish people so they will serve God with all their heart. It's to empower the people to have Das, to not just know God, but to really know God, to the point that it's really integrated to a point of feeling it. In every generation, sparks in the soul of our teacher Moshe clothe themselves in the body and the soul of the sages of that generation, the eyes of the congregation. So this is such a profound transference that it's not just within the person's soul, it's also within their body. The Moshe's generation can help every individual achieve dot, right? Each according to their own ability, which generates love and awe of God, right? When I know that Hashem loves me, and I know it because I'm really focusing on it, and I have das on it, and therefore what's going to happen, I'm going to start feeling it. So if you look at the 10th sfira, Chachma Bina Das, underneath it is Chesed. It's the beginning of emotion. So right after Das gives birth to emotions. It's through that focus that I'm going to start feeling something. As it's written, know the God of your father and serve him with all your heart and with a longing soul. So how am I going to, serve God with all my heart and longing soul? I have to know the God. I have to know God. And where's that coming from? It's coming from Das. It's coming from that focus on godly concepts. Thus, to serve him with all your heart and with a longing soul, it is necessary to know the God of your father, and to comprehend his greatness. This is taught to the Jewish people by the scholars of each generation, within whom the sparks of Moshe are enclosed. And so that is the job of the shepherd, is to give us vitality and godliness. It's to empower us to bring out our own soul power, the quality of Moses within us of really focusing on these godly concepts, which will lead us to a place of having this godly awareness integrated into our life. So the point is not just that we're going to learn from spiritual guides and books. Now, of course, those are absolutely necessary, integral to this process. But the ultimate goal is that we're going to personally connect and feel the truth of the ideas being taught. It's not that, great, the leader of the generation has das on the matter. No, I want to really know it. I want to really have das. And the point is, Moshe's job is to nourish the flock, is to help every single one achieve the das on their own. And so no one can have das for you. It needs to come from our own ability to focus in and choose to concentrate on these ideas. Das allows a person not just to believe in godly concepts, but see them the way one sees a physical object. So let's think about this for a second. We have the concept of Hashgacha Prati, that God's running the world. And so if a person's really thinking about that, wow, Hashem's in my life, Hashem's in my life, Hashem's in my life, and they're saying it to themselves, and they're thinking about it, and they're focusing on it, and just when they're having a hard moment, a little bird lands right next to them, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's Hashem in my life, right? Hashem's sending me a little bit of sweetness, some joy. So that reality, it's an abstract concept, God running the world. And yet now, when they see the birdie, they're seeing that concept in reality. They're having das. They're seeing that concept like they see a physical object. It is their lens through which they perceive reality. It is known that das connotes union, as in the verse, in Adam Yada Chava. The word Yada in this verse connotes union. Right? So the word Yada there is used as for marital relations. It's like the deep level of knowing and unity. Thus, das entails knowing something to the point that one is completely united with it. So this is the first time we're really learning this word yada is in the concept of a marital union between Adam and Chava. And so it shows that this is not just a light connection. This das is a type of very powerful connection where you're completely one with the idea. The same is true regarding knowledge of godliness. Although when one knows godliness, he's already fulfilling a mitzvah. It does not suffice. One must achieve the union of das by meditating deeply on God's greatness. So das is not just something light, like, yeah, Hashem runs the world and it's all good. It's like, no, it's like really contemplating it, really going into these concepts of really like knowing Hashem's greatness and not just like, yeah, I know it in a general way, really taking time every single day to focus in on it, and because that's what's going to lead to fear and love of awe. That's going to lead to give das to give rise, to give birth to the emotions. Thank you for taking the time to explore today's Tanya together.